Our last session for today features two speakers, Mr. Bhavaraju, Head of Software Development, Aether Energy, and Anuj Prasad, Founder and CEO of Desmania. Anuj is already here, and I would like to invite Anuj first for his presentation. And if we do have some time, we'll take maybe a couple of questions after. Over to you, Anuj.
Yeah, hi everybody. And thanks for inviting me for this presentation. I have to talk about design, and I think design is one key factor in today's times for selling anything, and especially in the area of EVs, the new two-wheeler developments. Design is going to play a very vital role, and I'm sure all of us know that in the automotive segment, design is actually the first thing which people look for, and performance is actually taken for granted if it is coming from a brand. So let me just share a quick presentation, and thereafter we can have a Q&A. So I'll just share my screen. So I hope all of you can see the screen.
Yes, Anuj.
Yeah. So the topic which I have actually chosen is design, and it's beyond styling. And the reason why I've chosen this topic is because the normal stereotype in the industry is that design actually means only aesthetics and beauty, whereas design thinking, which is pretty much popular across the industry segments, means much more than just giving beauty to any product. And that is what I'd like to discuss in context with the two-wheeler industry today, electric two-wheeler. So let me just give a quick brief background about ourselves. So we are Desmania Design. We are like 25-year-old company, and we most likely have the best possible infrastructure in place with design, engineering, prototyping, modeling, all in one place. The picture which you see here on the left is our design studio, which is located in Manesar. And so the way we have built up our studio is to actually have the best minds of the industry, and an environment where the creative juices can really flow. So the kind of studios which we have are pretty much contemporary and very open, free to be kind of studios. We have a full workshop, paint shop, CNC milling, and so we can actually do anything and everything in these studios. We have a full clay modeling studio where you can make 1:1 clay models from a two-wheeler to a truck. You can do anything out here. So this is like one of the best infrastructures which we have in India for design, and we provide end-to-end services. So let me come to the topic and talk about the present perception about design. In the area of automotive design, people usually call design as styling, and they think the job of a designer is only to do styling, which is purely skin deep, and they have to make it look nice, and they have to make the whole look and feel very enticing for the customer. Whereas design, the way it has evolved in last so many years, is that it's beauty. It's also brand. The brands are known by design, and they have their own distinct language. And design also provides experience which is long lasting. The experience that the consumer derives after using any product is something which builds up the brand loyalty over a period of time. And the best branding happens through viral branding, which is like word of mouth, and that comes from the experience. So all these three things are very important in design, unlike the earlier perception of only aesthetics. So also over the years, design has moved from a skill to a thought process and a problem solving process also, and which is being applied at various places. whether it is a product design industry or a FMCG industry. But problem solving is one important aspect of design thinking. So, but in design thinking, if you see, these are the 5 steps which really help you in coming out with a world-class product, which is understanding the consumer or the user well, which is empathizing, exploring with solutions from the insights that we gather, converting into quick prototypes, validating, testing, and then the final execution to convert this into a product which can go to the market. So there are 2 aspects. One is the user-centric design, and second is the eco-centric, which is the environment-friendly, eco-friendly design, which is also under a larger purview of designers to do things which are also eco-friendly. Also, over the years, design is turning into a very big strategic tool as to how you grow your business, how you evolve your business, and it becomes a intrinsic part of the whole business strategy which you have. So when you apply design thinking to the business objectives, you also get a certain design strategy and a roadmap on which one can work to make the offering more amenable to the consumers. So it's a strategic tool also. And design is just not skin, but it's also emotional in nature, sensorial, social. Yeah, there's social innovation which happens, cultural, because it leads. So what we design for India may not work in a country like Finland, for example. Experiential, as I mentioned earlier, and ecological. So in the electric two-wheeler industry, the landscape and the design possibilities which are emerging are actually enormous, and it's not just the personal two-wheeler which people are interested in through the EV route. It could be actually converted into many more business possibilities. And what I perceive is that this is the landscape which we have, which is an electric bike, a two-wheel taxi, personal vehicle, and a two-wheel cargo vehicle. So these 4 areas are going to emerge in a very big way. And there's a lot of design possibility to do new things on it, because in electric vehicle you have a great opportunity to make flexible design because you have lesser components, and you can actually create platforms and emanate many designs out of it. So one of the things which is emerging in a very big way is the shared last mile mobility, where I think electric cycle or bike is something which will become a very key feature as we move into the smart cities, as we have more organized urban spaces. So a simple bike like this, which has certain utility and a certain technology, is something which can be designed without any big effort in India. And I think it can be an extremely popular product. So this example is just to show that how a simple product like a cycle could be translated into a technology product, which could be used by many as a last mile transportation, especially in the upcoming smart cities, in the cities where you have metros, and you can have variety of features coming into this, which could be connected to your mobile. You can have a helmet, which is a sanitized helmet that you see, which is also put in the docking station. And so one small little bike, which is omnipresent all over, and I think that could be very easily converted into something with very high value and a great business model. Then the other area which is emerging in a big way is a bike taxi, which nobody has actually explored with design. Everybody has used the existing motorcycle as taxi, and that's actually one of the primary reasons why it has not done well in the market. And second is the cargo. So we thought about a flexible design where you can have a taxi and a cargo together. And this kind of a platform can be a flexible platform. It is a livelihood vehicle, so you need to have it very simple. You need to have all the utilities, and you can also have a couple of livelihoods which could be incorporated into the design. Utility is very important factor, and problem solving for the consumers and the commuters both, you know. So this is like one of the examples where if you know that London taxi is designed as a taxi, similarly a two-wheel taxi like this can be designed for the Indian audience, you know, where they have a personal space, they have a partition between the driver and the commuter. You have space for keeping things. You have handle to hold, and a larger space. You don't get too close to the driver because we have women who are skeptical of going on to a two-wheel taxi with the normal regular bikes and all. So you can see this design is something which can be a special design for a bike taxi, and that is what can work in India because the socio-cultural aspects are such that you need certain emotional things to be incorporated as design features, like distancing between the driver and you. So this is another concept, and you can see there are so many features which have been put into it, which are very, very specific to the bike taxi, and which are based on the user needs. You know, these user needs are actually unmet in the regular bike taxis, and which are just normal commuter bikes which have been converted. Now, the same platform, if you build up a platform, now you can see this is the platform, but the same platform could be actually used for, cargo vehicle. Now, can you imagine a person who's using it, somebody who buys it, he has two possibilities of livelihood. One is to run it as a bike taxi for say 6 hours, and probably in the evening, he uses it as a cargo vehicle, as a delivery thing. So it becomes an excellent livelihood tool, and especially in a country like India where so many people gain employment through so many services which are there, which are related to e-commerce. And so one bike, one platform which you see has two possibilities, and this could be very easily done, and it is quite minimalistic design, so the cost doesn't go up, you know. So the cost remains pretty much the same or lesser as compared to the regular bikes. And so these are the possibilities which design can offer, which is totally based on the user needs, consumer needs. And so, like what I said earlier, that design is not just aesthetics and styling, but it can also disrupt the market by innovative thought process. And even something like this could be a cargo bike, which is normally not seen. So this is a pretty much disruptive thought, of keeping things within the bike, because it can happen only in the EV. So what we have done is we have actually celebrated the construction of an EV two-wheeler, where you don't need so much space for engine, and probably that engine space could be used for doing the cargo. So something like this could be a disruptive design. So a completely new thought process in the lateral direction. And you've seen that scooters in India have been going on. Largely the platforms come from outside India, and not much has been done for the socio-economic, cultural related requirements which the Indian audience has. So few things which are very critical in designing the personal vehicle, the two-wheelers. Of course, one is the pride of ownership. One has to buy it and feel very happy about it. Second is an experience which you derive after using it, which could be through variety of ways. And third is the brand, which is VBL as we call it, which is visual brand language. Now, if you see, VBL is something which is going to become very, very critical as we go forward, because there's so many people who are getting into the EV technology. And if you want to create a brand, and if you want to remain there as a long-term player, you need to develop a distinct brand language, like the way you see in the European cars, like Mercedes, Volvo, BMWs and such, where there's a certain brand language which is very, very distinct, and it actually manifests the brand values, the brand guidelines, the keywords of the brand. This is something which could be converted into something which is in the product itself. So VBL, for example, from design point of view, is going to play a very, very vital role as we go forward. And people who really want to survive would like to have a distinct VBL. So this is an important aspect of design. And humanizing technology, which is a very important term because technologies exist, technologies keep coming up, but how to humanize them is something which is the role of a designer. So designers actually convert the technology into something which is the language of the user. Otherwise technology is complex. So that is another big area where designers would actually innovatively use the technology so that it becomes embedded and it's subtle. You don't have to talk about an IoT scooter, but you have to talk about something which is connected, which is connected to your home, which is connected to your wife, which is connected to your children. So IoT is only a technology which is an enabler to get this kind of feature, which is a user need. So technology has to be subtle, it has to be an enabler, but the requirement is something else. So these are the four things which will play a very vital role while we design new things. And you can see that these are some of the examples of the design where the backrest, for example, can become an additional seat, especially in the small towns in India where you need extra space. The same uh, backrest can be converted into a rest where for women who are wearing saris, especially in tier 2, tier 3 towns, they sit with both the legs on one side. So you can actually turn the backrest and it becomes a good backrest for them. So these are very India related, very socio-cultural related requirements and needs which have not been met by the existing designs. They could be actually put onto the new electric two-wheeler, new products which are going to come out from India, and they can actually meet the hidden needs of the consumer. Extra seat, extra space is something which we find that in India you do need, little extra, little more, little modularity. And so those kind of features could be built in. And so this is something which we had designed many years back, even when the electric vehicle was hardly visible in India, but we thought about this design almost 10-15 years back, and this was based totally on the user research which we had conducted ourselves. And now we see that this bike resembles a lot to Gogoro, but this was done much way before that. And for millennials, which is the largest chunk which is coming, we need to make new things which are more swanky, which have a swag, which are disruptive. Millennials like to experiment. So if you remember, if you know about it, the cafe racer, which was meant for the younger audience in those days, right after the Second World War, came up because these people, the younger people, wanted to show off their bikes. They wanted to go from cafe to cafe, take their girlfriends around, and similar people are the millennials right now. So they want to experiment, they want to do new things. So we design can actually help in creating new platforms, new ways, hybrids, which is something between a motorcycle or a scooter, but not a step through, but very swanky, very sporty. So design actually plays a vital role in again meeting the emotional needs of certain audiences. And millennials are actually one of the key audience for the electric vehicle two-wheeler industry. So while we do all this, what's also happening is that every product wants to become a gadget. And what is a gadget? Gadget is technology put into a physical piece or an object. And I think electric two-wheelers also need a lot of technologies just to be the enabler for the human needs. So these are many of these technologies which could be very well used in EV, and one can actually humanize these technologies to meet the consumer needs. And mobile app, GUI, all these are connected. It is already happening, and here also designers play a very vital role in creating the user interface, which is easy to learn, more intuitive in nature, and also looks good. But all this doesn't happen at random, because design is actually a process, and one has to follow the process to get the end result. There's no shortcut of getting a great product without really following the process. So as Desmania, and we have been practicing designers for more than 25 years now, we have developed a certain process which is called Desmaniacs, and this process has 5 steps, which is and we thought that X is a factor, which means X factor means the differentiation or the cutting edge. And that is what design does, you know. So how to give this X factor and create products which have great differentiation, they are distinct, and they meet the consumer needs. So these 5 steps of extraction of a great brief, which is the foundation for any product. Examine is doing a very deep consumer research to understand the unmet needs and the aspirations of the consumers. Exploration, which means lateral thinking to come out with many solutions. There's no single solution to any problem. Exacting it to manufacture, because anything which is made will remain a dream if it is not made for the next step of your customers, which is the manufacturing. And then great execution, which means optimizing the whole thing for a good delivery to the final consumer. So these are the 5 steps which we feel are very important. And we have made certain tools like code for cost optimization through design, because if you optimize cost at ground zero when you're designing, then you don't have to do value engineering later on. Idea Factory is a co-creation tool where we work along with the clients to co-create, because everybody is creative, but they are unable to manifest their creativity. They never get a chance. So we have Idea Factory as a tool where we get the client, the stakeholders, and co-create together. Go Eco is a program where we look at sustainability, which is again a very critical part of any product development. And again, we don't want to do it later on as a patchwork, but this has to be thought before you design. And ILD is innovation led. So these are all tools which we have built up, and these tools help us in designing something which could be really world class, So very critical part of automotive design and very critical part of the design process is the physical model. And as they say, if you can do quick prototyping and validation, if you keep doing this in a do loop, you will find that the product gets refined automatically and it evolves into a great one, So you need to make physical models, and especially in the area of automotive, we lay a lot of emphasis on that. So one is for aesthetic refinement to evolve it. Second is to check the volume, size, and to validate it. Then ergonomic check, which is very critical for making the product usable, user-friendly, and the functionality, which is the nuts and bolts of design. So taking into account all this, we have our own clay modeling studio, which is one of its kind in the country outside the OEMs, where we can make, complete full vehicles 1:1. And this is an example of making one scooter, electric scooter for a company which is not there anymore. It was a startup called 22 Motors. And this is also a clay model, which is made in our studio, the same model. And what you have is not painting, but there's something called Dynoc film, which comes from 3M, which has been stretched on it, and you can validate the aesthetics, the volume, size, sleekness. So clay modeling is something which is highly prevalent in the Western markets, and this is something which we started like 12 years back. In India, we were the first ones, and we have gained a lot of expertise in it. And the two-wheeler companies, which are our clients, we are actually encouraging them to do this kind of a modeling to get products which will be, which can compete all over the globe, because what you need is great design refinement. And but unfortunately, many of the electric vehicle company owners do not understand the automotive process. And we are also playing the role of evangelists, the design evangelists, to tell them about the right process and how this right process can help them in coming out with great products that will be market success. So, and then making show models, hard models, functional models. All this is required as a part of the design process to achieve the, to achieve the business objectives of making something which is acceptable to your customers, to the consumers, not only in India but outside India also. So that is the end of my presentation, and my idea was to give a first view overall perspective on design and how important the whole thing is to make any product development program successful, and especially in the area of EVs and two-wheelers. Thank you very much.
Anuj, thank you for that excellent presentation. Really very informative. I could get some of your design angst when you said some of the companies don't understand the way the entire process works. So we have just a few questions for you. One is where do you see the two-wheeler design evolving? Because if you look at for the first 30 years, you had the Vespa sort of design, the geared scooter, which sort of took root, maybe until the 80s. Then you had the automatic or the gearless scooter, but largely the designs were essentially the same. Where would you see, two-wheeler design with the electric, where you don't need a fuel tank anymore, but you need a large battery? And where do you see Indian design evolving? For example, we have step-throughs in Southeast Asia, but it never caught on. So, from where you're sitting and with the first-hand experience you have, where would you see the two-wheeler design evolving with EVs?
So India is a very diverse country. All of us know about it, and we have very diverse needs also. Also, we have certain stereotypes which are based on our culture, and we have pretty much unique needs as compared to the people who are living in Europe, US, or even Southeast Asia. So design, as I said, is purely user-centric in nature, and we need to understand the users well to come out with a design. But at the same time, one of the common things which users have is aspiration to own something which is very contemporary and modern, So we cannot say that Indian design will be something which is like, a sari or something like that, which is traditional in nature. People want contemporary stuff in new products, new technologies. What I also mentioned was that every product, it wants to grow into a gadget now. So if you ask a product, what do you want to be when you grow, it will say, I want to be a gadget. And same is happening to the automotive also. And the cars, the bikes, the scooters, they are slowly moving towards the transition. The transition is towards a gadgetry kind of a feel, and gadget means sleekness, and sleekness doesn't mean being weak. It's robust, but yet sleek. It needs to have certain technologies which enhance the convenience of people. It needs to have more utility, and it is not just the aesthetic which matters. So it will move towards a little more minimalistic kind of a design where the curvatures and overdo of design, the too many lines happening, the clutter of design, or just the aesthetics of highlighting and class A surfacing will not be as important. And as you see the trends, the way it is happening, and there are certain big guys from China who have made it big, like Neos and the Lawson and all these people. So you'll see the scooters becoming cleaner, straighter, smaller, more handy. Whereas India will have two types of audiences. One is, as I mentioned, that the two-wheeler is also towards livelihood, commuter, and the utility space. So that will be maybe a different ball game where you need to look at design with a different perspective. And second is the millennial, which thinks that it's only for mobility, and mobility needs nothing but great ride, good experience, good technology, but minimalistic, or smaller and light in weight. So I think that is how it will emerge. There won't be one size that fits all, because design finally is moving towards more customization, which means you are narrowing down the audience. It is not 40 model, which is one model made for everybody, but there's so many models, and so you have to deal with the situation in a different manner, and that is where the consumer insighting becomes very important.
Thank you, Anuj, for that. And the other question is related to, I mean, I think the designer also designs with what is possible in terms of the components or how they can be manufactured. So how would things like additive manufacturing or 3D printing, how would they play a role, or is it too early or too nascent for the EV two-wheeler industry?
So see, there are two things to 3D printing, and we have been extensive user of 3D printing from 2000 when it just emerged in the market. And what you realize is that there's certain unique features about 3D printing where you can do things which you cannot do with any other manufacturing process. So for example, if you want to create a conduit kind of a capillary system, it's extremely tough to make it in any other material or any other process. So those kind of new things which can, for example, the cooling of the battery, the way it can happen. So you can actually switch over to 3D printing, and you can probably do a new, very innovative way of cooling through the 3D printing process, because you can make that kind of a component, which is similar to the organic forms which you have in nature, like the plants and human body or living bodies, So that's something which is unique, where you can use the real function of 3D printing, which is very unique, That is one area. Second area is quick changeover of models, which means that once you invest in the mold, then it remains there for like 2-3 years. You want to get the whole ROI, and then you want to. Whereas 3D printing doesn't require tooling. So if you have a system of 3D printing, which is happening in a, it is really emerging in a very big way, that you can also go up to a certain kind of mass production. So if you have limited editions, or if you want to narrow down your niche, if you want to narrow down your consumer base, you don't have to invest in tooling. You can actually make, say, 10,000 scooters purely out of 3D printing, because the strength, the materials are coming very close to the molded kind of process. You also have metal printing, so you don't need to invest big time in dyes and pressure die casting and such kind of things. And third is, of course, the decoration part, because what you can do in 3D printing now with multicolor printers and all is like phenomenal. So small things, which could be, touch points for the consumer, could be done in 3D printing. So one has to identify, we cannot just run a rat race kind of a thing. Okay, we are using 3D printing because it is in fashion, but we need to identify the real meaning of 3D printing, and that is how we can use it to the best possible solution. So that's something which will be definitely useful as we go forward.
Great. Thank you, Anuj. I thoroughly enjoyed the presentation, and thank you for your answers as well. And we look forward to staying in touch with you from a Mobility Outlook.
Definitely, Vivek. Thank you very much.
Right. So we move on to our last session for this afternoon, and I'd like the team to play Mr. Ram's recorded presentation, please.
Hi everyone. Welcome to the summit. My name is Ram. I come from Aether Energy. I head the software and web technologies at Aether. Today I'm here to talk about connected tech and also give you a brief introduction onto the key technologies which are involved building this connected tech. So I'm just getting this, we have done few programs from Aether, and we call it as an Aether Vantage, during which we have had bring forth the technologies involved, and also talking a little bit about detail of connected tech. So that's where I'm going to spend my time today. All right. So let's start with Aether first. I just wanted to talk about what Aether, and then give a little bit of introduction about our product portfolio before we dive into the connected tech as a topic. So Aether Energy was founded in 2013 at IIT Madras. The founders were the alumni of IIT Madras, Tarun and Swapnil. Their main aim was to build a fast, intelligent electric scooter and bring in a robust EV charging network. That is exactly their aim was, and they wanted to bring in very good, what do you say, the electric vehicles portfolio into the mainstream market of two-wheelers. And that's where the product portfolio also had evolved. We have been funded by Hero MotoCorp, Taiyo Global, Sachin and Vinny Bansal, who are the founders of Flipkart. And total funding we have raised until till date about 106.2 million. We are in the markets in about 13 cities at this point in time, and we're also looking at a rapid expansion. By end of the year, we'll be in more than about 30, 40 cities. A majority of our markets are in the tier 1, tier 2 cities, like Bangalore, Chennai, Hyderabad, Pune, Mumbai, Delhi NCR, Ahmedabad, Kolkata, Kochi, Coimbatore. We are a staff of more than 750 plus. We have multiple different patents done, about 44 Indian patents, 5 international patent applications. We also have design registrations, international design patents, and also a bunch of Indian trademarks. So it was just not bringing in the electric vehicles to the main forum into the two-wheeler segment, but also to bring in one of the best of the kind in the product portfolio. That was probably the two main areas where Swapnil and Tarun were envisioning the company to go forward for. And we wanted not to just be a game changer per se, but also bring in the adaption and also bring forth the technologies involved around two-wheelers, especially in the electric vehicles. So to pioneer this effort, they were pillars of building this electric vehicle, and it was designed and built from the scratch. So we are also proud to say that it was a make in India or a made in India concept, and it is built from scratch here at Bangalore. Every component built to the fit the needs of a consumer, and that's exactly how we have built it. We wanted to change the thinking that electric vehicles are just more like a fancy toys, rather than becoming your day-to-day commuters, your performance-oriented vehicles, and all. So that was more the main agenda for bringing in electric vehicles, and also specifically in the two-wheeler segment. Our entire ownership experience is around consumers, and that's a very fact that we call our outlets per se, or the dealerships, what traditional OEMs call it. We call them as experience centers to a very large amount of time, or probably to the large fact of matter is that our centers are actually experience centers, and we have had people gone into our experience centers and have had a great experience. Like the ride visualizations, the test rides itself, everything it works like an e-commerce company where the entire thing is done on a website, or lots of automations happening around it. So that's where we were pioneering there. But we wanted just not to bring in a normal two-wheeler electric vehicle, but also want to bring in a very good consumer-centric, great consumer experience, a great ownership experience, very good market fit, built to the needs of the customers, so on and so forth. That's a very fact that we have built the electric vehicle, and we were also fortunate to get about 2 different product variants already by now. So now I want to talk about more of our product portfolio and the design, and probably those inbuilt few of the highlights of those vehicles, which you could also find it in our Aether Energy website. So we had launched in 2018, towards the fag end of 2018, Aether 450. That was our initial model, and that was built on a platform which could support multiple different variants to come going forward. So when we say a platform in terms of an OEM, right, you can think about a Jaguar Land Rover building an Omega architecture platform on which they have built the entire range of SUVs in Jaguar and also Land Rover, which have also had been borrowed over by Tata and started building vehicles on top of it. So you see that is what you have seen in a platform for the four-wheeler or a higher wheel, or like light motor vehicle kind of a segment. We wanted to bring such a impactful platform, and where we could get multiple variants. Again, this is consumer centric. Right? For example, we were also building these products in a way, and also getting a feedback from the customers to understand what is that they are looking. If you see, predominantly both the models look alike. If someone sees from a naked eye, they would say, hey, both the models are exactly the same. What is the difference? There is a bunch of difference between the 450 and 458. That's a very fact that we call it as an X, which is the X factor in this product. Whereas the 450 was our launch product, which had decently good reception. We had got very good feedback from the customers about the overall, the bike itself and its performance and all. So then we took it to the next level. That is towards the fag end of last year, that is 2020. We, at the early 2020, we announced that we'll launch 450X, and by end of 2020, we have launched 450X with the two sub variants inside it. That is 450 Plus and 450X. 450 Plus is more of an entry level into that performance vehicle, and the 450X has the X factors. There is a huge amount of difference in terms of performance and also what it brings onto the table. The very inception of these products comes from that we have always looked into the customer experience. We have got the feedback from them, and then we were looking at building it and making it more customer centric, more tailor-made to their needs, and that's where these performance vehicles have come into picture. Like at the top of the line performance or the range it gives, the charging infrastructure, what is built around it. It's all part of the product portfolio is what we have developed. So I'll just give you a quick synopsis of what is 450X. 450X has a top speed of about 80 kilometers per hour. It has the 4G connectivity. We have an eSIM which is on board, which is also there part of our 450, by the way. But 450 to 450X, the difference is that it's one of the quickest scooters, quickest EVs per se. Even when you stand 450 versus 450X, 450X is the fastest. So it does a for 0 to 40 in 3.3 seconds, and it has a true range of 85 kilometers. Whereas the certified ranges would be definitely higher. That is about 116 kilometers, but we always speak in terms of the true range, like the different modes on the vehicle, and based on using the different modes on the vehicle, how much is the range you would get from the vehicle. That is exactly what we always present in our product portfolio. It comes with a full touchscreen dashboard, which is a 7-inch touchscreen dashboard, has features like Bluetooth connectivity, onboard navigation, over-the-air upgrades, and one of the cool features of the Aether bike itself was the parking assist, which helps you go take the vehicle in the reverse when you're taking it out of the parking lot or a tight space where you're parked it. And it has a gradability angle of 21 degrees. One of the key things which right from the inception was over-the-air upgrades to support like any other manufacturer. Like when you take a mobile phone manufacturer or a laptop manufacturer, right? You would have this periodic updates on your operating systems, and you would also get new applications updated. Right? That's exactly the concept with which we have come with over-the-air upgrades, and it upgrades the vehicle at some periodic at some periodicity. And this upgrade is not just restricted to applications, but also brings in features which also brings in good experience, any issues on the vehicle, so on and so forth. So that way, it was a true OTA, and probably we are one of those first set of people who have done this in India, especially in the two-wheeler segment. Okay, this is a little more deeper dive into the electronics inside the Aether itself. We have an entire connectivity module, which is integrated with what we call it as in the industry term called as human machine interface, or HMI. Or a simplistic terms, it's called a dashboard, which you see, which has a touch screen. So on the touch screen, you can do something like connect to your phone, listen to the music while on the go. You can look at the calls. You can answer the call. You can reject the call. There are also physical buttons given to toggle between the calls or to answer or reject. So that way, the dashboard is fully functional. It has navigation. It has an eSIM connected to it. There's a very beautiful app which runs on top of it. Gives you the range, gives you current state of health of the vehicle, so on and so forth. So all those features are coming as part of the dashboard. Then there are power modules. There's a DC to DC converter. There's a motor controller and a charger. And all these come together as your power module. This is where you typically go plug into your power supply at your home, the normal 15 amp outlet, or you can get a dot charger, which is a little faster than the normal charging cycles. And then we have the fast chargers, what we call as a public charging infrastructure, where you can take your vehicle and get it charged. This is via subscription plan. Then we have the digital modules, which also come together. That is the battery management system, peripheral control nodes, and the entire charging infra around the digital modules. Even the charging infra has its own digital module, or we call it as the app, which is like a companion app called as a grid app, using which you can actually locate the grid, go to the grid and charge. Even your Aether app, which is nothing but an ownership app, helps you do the same thing. And that's where the digital modules come into the picture. The battery management system is again a digital module. It has the entire a node of the battery, and it also gets to know about the state of the health, the state of charge on the battery, and it sends all that information all the way to the customer, which they can see it on the dashboard and also on the Aether app. That way, it's all connected. It's all relaying that information at a very good frequency, and that is where we are capitulating on and bringing that information forward. And the entire lighting modules is built on LED lights. These are few of the key highlights of electronics within it. Now just look at the future of vehicles. If you see in the last 3-4 years or 5 years, right, lots of OEMs, especially in the light motor vehicles, and that is your four-wheelers, have brought in the connected technologies, and they're calling it like a connected and intelligent, right? And they're also talking about the connectivity highlights. So right from our inception, that is at the launch of 450, we have this connectivity as one of the key terms, and that is also one of the points which I wanted to discuss today during this presentation. What does it means to be connected? What does it means to be? How do we build that connected tech? How do you build a product portfolio? And what should be your thinking around building such a connected tech? So what is the purpose of this connectivity, right? To enable the transmission of data between the vehicle and the cloud, and capability to manage the over-the-air upgrades. If you see, right, the fundamental issue what all of us face or all of us have a challenge with is that your smartphones, you're used to so much of using your smartphone, and you always get some updates, like your app updates, your regular operating system upgrades, until the manufacturer support, right, about 2-3 years or so on and so forth, like the security updates, so on and so forth. What is the key about here is that you're used to that way of working, where you always feel that your phone is always connected and it's giving you some meaningful information. What if your vehicle also starts behaving exactly the same way, where it is able to transmit the data, understand what is happening on the vehicle, able to communicate back to the customer, that is the one who's using it, and also able to manage the entire updates and keep you up to date with the technology changes and all. That was the main purpose of this connectivity, at least from our standpoint, that is from Aether. So when we talk about connectivity, the devices which sit on the edge is nothing but, in this case, the device which is the dashboard, which is on the vehicle. We call it as an edge, and the connectivity is called as an edge connectivity. That is where your physical device or a hardware gets connected to the cloud, and that is what we call it as an edge connectivity. And that is one of the key features for the entire connectivity, because this also talks about your IoT, right? Internet of Things, where you are able to talk to physical world things and intercept or interface them to bring out the meaningful information. That is where the edge connectivity comes into the picture. And this takes your majority of the load of transmission of data, and also takes care of your local storage of that data to mitigate any network disturbances, because now you have a 4G SIM or an eSIM which is sitting inside the vehicle and you're on the go, and you still want to know about few of the basic details of your vehicle, state of charge of the vehicle, state of health, so on and so forth. And the edge connectivity module is where it is helping you with that. And one of the key features of this connectivity was the OTA update itself, as I was talking about, right? That periodic updates also gives you a sense of direction, sense of what do you say, as a customer feeling, a sense of customer feeling about ownership, that you are able to get a good amount of features. Or we are also looking at launching features, fixing issues on your vehicle, and also giving you some amount of update, which to keep your operating system like really healthy, and also ensuring that your connectivity technology or connected tech works with the latest and the greatest of the technology. And what does it bring out when we have this OTA update, right? We also have the ability to roll back to any previous version in case there are any issues. The same way any of your smartphone manufacturers or your operating system manufacturers do. I'm sorry. It also allows for a control testing of the updates, where we can actually target set of bikes where the updates can go. That is like a beta customer. That's typically what you do in your devices. When you use your mobile phones or when you use your laptops and all, they always do this beta testing to understand what kind of effect with that OTA happens. So we have that ability with this connected tech. Okay, sorry. Moving on. So I just want to highlight three major things of the connected ecosystem. One is the connect part, which like what are the product portfolios, what it brings forth. Then the control part, how much of the control you would assume from the connected tech, and then the analyze part, which gives you the product portfolios, right? Which is like the product features, what you want to showcase or what you want to analyze from your own standpoint. The connect lets you do things like you've heard about things like geofencing, find my vehicle, so on and so forth, right? And also get to know about anomalies which are happening on your vehicle. So this data which is getting transmitted from the vehicle to the cloud, and then your partner app, that is your Aether app, that is a companion app, or on the dashboard, is allowing you to look at what is happening on your vehicle from a very, very remote place. And that gives you a sense of ownership, and also sense of what comfort, which helps you to understand what is happening with your vehicle at that point in time, and also to gives you the confidence of any anomalies are handled very well. And that's a very fact that if you see there's a map over here where you're able to identify where your bike is, and it is also telling you there are zero anomalies at this point in time, which is that there are no errors or warnings per se, and the overall health had been 8 on 8. It means that all the active devices are working fine. That's kind of helping us also to understand how the vehicles are going on the ground. And also as a customer, you would also get to know about what is my vehicle doing, what is the current state of health or charge per se. Now moving on to the control aspect. So at the start of the product portfolio explanation, I spoke about two variants, right? The 450 plus, which is your entry level, and the 450X. What if I say the entire hardware, the entire physical bike is the same, but the entire connected tech platform or the connectivity itself is giving you that variances? And that is where the entire game changer is coming into the picture, because here we are talking about software products enabling you to variant out your vehicles and also the performance in it, right? If you see, if you look at this this screen, right, you're able to see two different variants, 450 plus and 450X, and there are key highlights between them. Like 0 to 40 is 3.3 in 450X, whereas 3.9 in 450 plus. It means that the amount of battery consumption or the amount of power given to the motor from the battery is controlled. And this is happening via the digital module, like the battery management system, the entire dashboard, and the entire connectivity control is what is helping you to do that. So in the future, right, the customers can actually go and say, no, I want to change, I want to subscribe for a faster vehicle, a faster variant of it. You need not go and customize that, right? You can actually subscribe for it, and you can go and make those changes for you to get that onto your vehicle, not even going to a service center. That gives that kind of possibilities or that kind of probabilities are there using this connected ecosystem. And that's a very fact that we're able to showcase two different bikes and the amount of control which can be given using this the connectivity. And coming to the analyze part of it, which is like now you have the connected tech, you have great features. You can also variant out between what you want to use, what you really don't want to use, so on and so forth. Now, how does an OEM help you out bringing that, right? If you see the left side app screen is showing about Aether Space, that is where you have gone into an experience center and you have taken a ride, and we are showing to the customer the ride visualization. And also think about this, right? Now you are going on a bike and you own an Aether vehicle and you want to go to the nearest charging point. And on the app, you're showing you, hey, this is the place, this is the nearest place where you can go and get your vehicle charged. Or telling you that, hey, your charges, like your true range is coming to that kind of a place where you need to do some amount of fake charging. And why don't we help you out with that? And this is coming because of the data which is being transmitted. The parameters what we are getting to read, and then giving a sense of direction to the customer to take some informed decision. So the entire analyze phase of this connectivity or connected intelligent technology is helping you out, making the customers make a great decision, and also an informed decision about how do you go about using the vehicle. Similarly, your ride statistics is one of the major things what we one of the major things which our customers also give us as a feedback, that one of the cool features in the vehicle itself, where we are able to highlight all your rides. We are able to highlight how efficiently you have used, what is the projected range, what was your top speed, what was your average speed, how did you cover that distance, how was your ride behavior during that one. So it gives a kind of an impactful information on how do you pace out these rides, how do you really are using your vehicle, when you would look into some amount of, what do you say, maintainability or periodic maintenance, giving you a kind of like signals into how is your vehicle performing over a period of time, how is it differentiating between the rides, are there any anomalies, so on and so forth, right? So all these are part of the connected tech, and the data what we're collecting would help build that. And they all these are, if I say these are all software products, and these are all the key features which are coming out of this connected tech. So connected tech is just not about giving you an app and then just making the vehicle connect, but also lots of background behind the scenes. There's kind of data profiling or data mining goes on to build in and bring in the best of the features. It just not restricts over here, but also helps you build a set of product portfolios which are pointed towards the customers and custom fitted to the customers, so that it helps them build that an ecosystem, and also helps them make very informed decision, make the entire ownership experience very seamless, up to date, and also driven into the future. And that's a very fact that the connected tech or connected intelligence scooters are coming into the picture. All right. This is again a similar enabled by intelligence, right? So that's exactly what we're highlighting over here. The connected mobile app, as I was talking about, is your partner app, and which shows you all that different information. I spoke about this connected tech in the last 4 slides, right? And this is that picture which shows you like a decent amount of ride stats on the left side of the picture on the dashboard. It also shows you what mode you're riding the vehicle, the state of charge, how much charge is left, how are you connected to the vehicle, so on and so forth. Like the remote diagnostics is also possible, and if there are any errors also, it will also show on the dashboard, also on the companion app. The companion app is nothing but the mobile app, which is the Aether app. All right. Now coming to the last segment of this presentation, that is the key technologies involved in this entire connected tech. Right now, everyone is asking about, okay, everyone is talking about connected tech. How about knowing where should we start, or what are those things what we start looking into to build this connected tech? All these cloud providers like Amazon Web Services, your Google Cloud Platform, Azure, have this built-in IoT core stack, what they call it as an Internet of Things core stack, which gives you connectivity, which helps you build a decent amount of connected tech by yourself. It's more of a DIY in that case. But now talking about what are the key technologies someone start looking into is about serverless architecture, your functional programming, because when you're building these connected tech features, there's large amount of data sets what you have to process, and you need to have as loosely coupled as modular programming as possible. That's where the functional programming concepts come into the picture. You need to know a little bit about artificial intelligence and machine learning. That's where your analyze phases come into the picture, right? Where you are analyzing like gigabytes and terabytes of data to understand certain patterns or certain ride behaviors, so on and so forth, so that you can build in very informed or very niche products in that sense. Internet of Things, obviously, that is something you would want to know, because there are sensors equipped, and that is these sensors send the data. And how do you collect this sensory data and send it over to the cloud is what Internet of Things help you out with. Over-the-air upgrades, how does that over-the-air upgrades work? What is over-the-air upgrades? What are the clients which are involved? What are the server technologies which are involved? How does a client, in this case, a bike, gets to know there is a packet which has to be gone into the vehicle, and how does the update happen? That is where the over-the-air upgrades will give you. Progressive web apps, this is where you build in either for your internal facing or external facing, like websites and all, where you show this web apps which are on the website or probably on the mobile app, which helps you interface with the customers or potential customers, your experience center, so on and so forth. One of the other major key technologies which is involved is the MQTT. This is a messaging queue, message queuing techniques. There are multiple different MQTT open source systems which are available. There are also which are what we call typically in industry terms called as in software industry terms managed services, which are available. Like all these cloud providers provide that. Then also understand a little bit about data lake architecture, which is like when you collect huge amounts of data, how do you architect the data? How do you transmit the data? How do you put the data in a meaningful storage, and how do you use the data? Sometimes you might use immediate data. Majority of the times you might use immediate data, but sometimes you might have to go retroactively into the past, get the data, and then churn out some meaningful information about it. That's where the machine learning is coming into the picture, right? That is where the data lake architectures are pretty sound in that sense. And these are a few of the key technologies where one has to start looking into to understand and build what we call it as a connected or the connected tech or the connectivity. With that, what would be the future of the connected tech, right? SoC is state of charge. That could be specifically designed for automotive application. That is where this connected tech will take you towards, right? Then we'll also look into components to support power efficiency, extreme ambient performance, and size. So now that it's with the data collected, right, we can look at different aspects of building the vehicle itself. And also, one of the key things what the connectivity will get you is the cheaper and the fastest way of communication, right? As and when the technology in the telecom industry is going higher, right? Also, the cloud industry is also like going at a very, very faster pace. You would also start looking into cheaper and faster ways of communication. Communication is just not the connectivity in this case, right? Communication is also the data transferability, adapting to what data says, looking at the products and features which are built around the data. And that is where the future of the connected vehicles will drive towards. All right. With that, I'm coming to the end of the presentation. Thank you so much for listening to me during the presentation. And if you have any questions, I would be more than happy to answer that. Thanks so much.